The St. Louis Blues are going to be looking to take another step in 2025-26, build upon the success they had in 2024-25 when they made it to the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs yet again. Doug Armstrong and co. have identified a goal of improving by 5%. They want to cross that 100-point threshold. So to do that, they're going to need probably some big seasons from some key contributors up and down the lineup. So if everything goes well in 2025-26, there are a few players on the roster who could be well positioned to receive some consideration for some of the major NHL awards out there. Robert Thomas, for one, has already received some consideration in conversations like the Selke. We saw a couple other Blues players in that same conversation this past season. So what about some others? Could Jimmy Snuggerud win the Calder Trophy? Could Robert Thomas win the Selke or even the Hart Trophy? Question mark. What about Jordan Binnington, Dylan Holloway, Jordan Kyrou, other key names up and down the Blues roster, and even some Blues personnel as well? Could they be in consideration for any of the major NHL awards and trophies next season? We'll talk about all that and more today on Note News. All right, welcome into another episode of Note News. It's John and Alec back with you. We're a St. Louis Blues podcast going live pretty much twice a week. We have done that a little less often because as the big news of the NHL offseason was coming, we had to do it more often than that. But I think as it averages out, about twice a week is what we try to do. And so we'd love to have you all summer long as we ramp up to the season. Our subscriber and follower counts, we really appreciate the love. So we've been seeing those tick up steadily. So we appreciate it. We're getting really close to 500 subscribers on YouTube. So we'd really appreciate, some help crossing that threshold. Thanks to everyone that has done that already. Like this video, follow, rate, review wherever you listen, Spotify and Apple, and then follow us on socials, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at No News Pod. We post a lot of great stuff. Alec, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm missing Blues hockey. I've been watching old highlights. I've been watching videos of favorite moments and such, but and there's not a lot of good going on in the Birdland right now. Although, hey, they won a game, so or two games, I think. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Getting excited for the future of the Blues as I've been writing for Bleeding Blue and keeping up on all the stuff we do here on Note News. And I actually am really excited about something coming shortly for Note News, but I won't reveal any details about that until it drops. So, yeah.
Stay tuned for that. Best way to do it is hit that subscribe button. Yeah, so obviously we are here to talk about should the Cardinals buy or sell at the deadline. No, I'm just fine. That is above our pay grade. That's not something I even want to go near.
Check out Deal on the Cards if you're interested in that kind of thing. They got great coverage going on over there for all the trade deadline talk, but we're here to talk hockey.
We're here to talk hockey, and like you, Alec, I've really been missing it lately. I am like one of those sports fans that really does like the offseason buzz, the offseason chatter. I like the rumor mill. I think it's exciting. So I do really get into it. As that has sort of simmered down in the hockey world, I'm just like left with, well, dang. Now I really want to watch some hockey. I really like what the Blues have done with their roster this summer so far, and I'm ready to see it play. I'm watching that Broberg OT winner just to feel something, man. So I agree. I am missing Blues hockey right now. Cannot get here soon enough. So today we're going to be talking about some of the major NHL awards and trophies, and sort of exploring if there are any Blues players that could be in the conversation to win the award or receive some more significant consideration than they have in the past. I think we're going to do, a little bit of everything. We're going to look at some of the betting odds according to like FanDuel and DraftKings and stuff like that. We're going to compare Blues players with other players in the conversation or those that have won it recently. So yeah, we're going to really try to get into everything and sort of not only make the case for specific Blues players to win that award, but also sort of talk about what needs to happen for a given player um, to be in the running for it. So, Alec, do you want to start big or start small and work our way up? Like, what's your lean with this one?
I think I want to start like realistic, and honestly, I kind of feel, well, I guess it depends on what you call big or small. Um, but I'll
Just throw
give
one
you
out.
that, and you can decide where to take us, I think.
Okay, cool. I think that leads me to believe Calder Trophy. It's
Sure.
one of the more realistic ones. I think for the Blues right now, and I think it's a good like medium sized award, right? So the Calder Trophy is Rookie of the Year essentially for the NHL, um, and I think there is one specific Blues player that is well positioned to um, be in the running for that one. It's pretty obvious. It's that man, Jimmy Snuggerud.
Logan Mayu. Oh,
Oh no, 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 no,
oh,
no.
wait. Okay.
Jimmy Snuggerud. So according to FanDuel, the odds for the Calder Trophy, Jimmy Snuggerud is tied for the. Hold on, doing some quick counting. Tied for the fifth best odds at plus 1,800. He's tied with Alexander Nikishin. Moving sort of up the list at fourth is Isaac Howard plus 1,500. Next up, third, Michael Misa, plus 1,200. Then Zeev Buium, plus 1,000. And then Ivan Demidov, plus 280. He is the best odds right now to win the Calder Trophy. So, I mean, I feel like that's not a bad bet to put some. I'm not saying that we condone gambling or sports betting or anything like that, but like those aren't terrible odds for a guy like Snuggerud. So I mean, what are your thoughts on his chances to win the Calder? I mean, especially compared with some of these other names, like those two at the top, Demidov and Buyam, I think are the big ones. I mean, I guess you could throw Michael Misa in there,
Hmm.
but that you know it's a tough Sharks team out there. I think we all thought Macklin Celebrini would uh, at the beginning of the season anyway would win that one, but yeah, like what are your thoughts on Snuggerud and how he measures up with some of these other guys? Other names sort of below him is, I mean, Zane Perrick, Ryan Leonard, James Higgins. So yeah, what are your thoughts on his chances and that group?
Yeah, Demidov is definitely the favorite, and I think should be the favorite. I think what we saw from him was already some really exciting flashes, not unlike what we saw from Snuggerud, I will say. And those odds, what you listed, is a really interesting split because it really has you believe, or at least if you take the odds at face value, it really sets it up to where the board is favored against Jimmy Snuggerud, and I don't even think if you ask a hockey insider that that's the case at all. You know, Snuggerud has just as much a chance as anybody to win the Calder. Um, excuse me, when compared with the names on the top of that list, outside of probably a Demidov, I think Demidov is sort of rightfully in a tier of his own as the favorite. But I think, and maybe depending on who you ask, they'd have a different person joining Demidov in that first tier of likely to win it. But outside of that, like Snuggerud is not, I would say, an outside shot like those odds would have you believe. He, by all measures and accounts, could be the second or third favorite to win the award. And in any given hockey year, that can absolutely happen. Snuggerud is a very high chance of winning. And by very high, I don't mean it's a foregone conclusion or it's even likely. But in terms of how percentages and probabilities go, he's got as good a shot as anybody, save Ivan Demidov. So I think Snuggerud is absolutely somebody I'm keeping my eyes on. If I were to, put a little money on any of these awards, it probably would be Snuggerud with the Calder. Not that I will, but I think that this is the place to look. And I'm absolutely like gonna be watching those rookie points leaderboards. I think we saw some really exciting steps from, unfortunately, Zach Bolduc last year, but got a really exciting player in return. Not to speak on that trade, but just I hadn't felt tuned into the rookie points discussion as I had in a long time. And Bolduc put up 36 points in his rookie season and finished, I think, seventh in the Calder, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
Um, yes, he finished eighth in the Calder,
Yeah, yeah.
scoring 19 goals and 36 points. I expect Snuggerud to shoot past that. Now, obviously, the competition isn't going to be the same. There's a really good Calder class this year,
Hmm.
but I mean, I am very high on Snuggerud's chances of winning this award. I think again, outside of Demidov, he's got as good a shot as anybody in the NHL eligible for the award.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And um, I mean, like, Williams a big name, I think. But I don't love that Minnesota team. I sort of made that same point with Misa. I mean, Isaac Howard. I don't know that he'll get enough playing time. Um, Alexander Nikishin maybe, but I like Jimmy Snuggerud over him. So I agree. I feel like Jimmy Snuggerud is a bit of a I don't know if dark horse is the right word, but compared with a guy like Demidov, I think you could say that. Looking at some of the past Calder winners, last year obviously it was Lane Hudson. He won the Calder just going off of point totals alone. 66 points was what won him the Calder. That was like 60 assists. Obviously a defenseman, so not a lot of goal scoring there. Year before it was Connor Bedard, of course, 61 points, 22 goals and 39 assists. Year before that, Matty Beniers, who won it with 57 points between 24 goals, 33 assists. And then going back just one more time, Moritz Seider won it in 2021-22 with Detroit, 50 points, 7 goals, 43 assists. So you're kind of looking at around 50 to 60 plus points, right? Like that's just point wise. I think there's more to it than just that. But for a rookie, you're not expecting them to be a super well-rounded player all the time. And so point totals is one of the easier metrics to go off of, obviously. And so I feel like for him to be seriously considered, he's going to need to keep up with a guy like Demidov and sort of rack up the points. Now, I think he has a good chance to do that depending on how he's deployed. If he's on the first line with Robert Thomas, that's that could be big. And then if he sees some significant power play time, which I expect him to personally, I think that more than anything else, power play usage, power play
Mm-hmm.
chances, power play opportunities. Like I think that will, if he can, become a mainstay in the power play and really, become a producer for the power play. That alone, I think, could be like the biggest tick in the pro column to winning
Mm-hmm.
him in the Calder. But any thoughts? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I mean, if you were to ask me, like Calder aside, is 25 and 25 or is 20 and 30, especially a
Yeah.
reasonable expectation for Snuggerud? Maybe not reasonable, but is like a 70th or 75th percentile outcome for Snuggerud? I would say heck yes. Like absolutely I could see him getting 20 and 30. I think that's kind of what I project in a good outcome.
Yeah.
You're telling me like that could be enough to win the Calder? Like, yeah, this guy's got as good a chance as any. Given, especially given the fact that he could be playing on a line with guys like Robert Thomas, Dylan Holloway, Jordan Kyrou, just to name a few. I mean, Jake
Hmm.
Neighbors, like Braden Shen, the list goes on. But I
Yeah.
think, especially like in that I don't know, in that tier below Demidov, who's just this unbelievable goal scorer, and he is. Um, I mean, Snuggerud is like very close to him in a lot of ways, and I think that to have him be an outside shot would be kind of dishonest. I think he should be considered as a very real candidate and possibility, someone who NHL insiders should and will have their eyes on throughout the season.
Yeah. Agreed. He's got the goal scoring potential. We saw flashes of some playmaking potential too.
His playmaking looked awesome.
So could rack up some points that way. So yeah. Um, where do you want to take it next? It's your turn to pick an award, and we can just go back and forth. I think.
Um, do you real quick have any Norris considerations? Do you want to go there?
If we look at the odds, I was actually surprised to see the entire Blues top four is on this list. I mean, granted, not great odds, but they're all on the list. Also, apologies. I don't know if you can hear it yet. There's a storm on the way and some thunder. So if you hear any of that, just know that I am in another thunderstorm,
Battling
as
the elements.
happens as that tends to happen. Justin Falk, Colton Parayko, Cam Fowler, and Philip Broberg all have plus 50,000 odds to win the
Okay,
Norris.
that's
Not great odds, but I was surprised. I was surprised to see them on this list, like at all, honestly. So at least all four of them. So I mean, do you think like Colton Parayko had a great year? I think if he takes another step, he could receive some consideration. If Cam Fowler just has like an amazing offensive year, I could see it. And then if Broberg takes like a huge step in his development and becomes like a real dude, I could see maybe not winning it, but some consideration. But any thoughts on those three?
yeah, not a ton. I think similarly. I don't. I would be beyond shocked if a Blues
Yeah,
player won the Norris this season. Pareko would be the number one, and I think probably Cam Fowler is my number two. Sorry, John.
it's
Um,
okay.
but I mean, and honestly, maybe Fowler is the real number one answer. So I'll just go
Hmm.
ahead and go there because it's not like I don't think this take is gonna come back around at all. I would be shocked if a Blues player won the Norris. I would say the highest I could reasonably guess would be a top five finish for either Pareko or Fowler. Would be the very high, like 99th, 100th percentile outcome for the Blues this season, because I think they could be like, I think there is some real upside on the defense that we haven't seen in years previous, especially with a guy like Mayu being added to the mix. But I winning a Norris or becoming a finalist in the top three, I think is out of the question.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. It's just in a league with Kale McCarr and Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski and Adam Fox all like in their prime right now. It's just not it's not going to happen. Um, so
Darlene, McAvoy,
yeah,
Miro
exactly. Yeah,
Heiskanen,
there's
like
even
the
more.
defensive talent's just unbelievable right now.
Yeah, Philip Broberg. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Who?
how dare you? Okay, where do you want to take it next?
um, I am intrigued to hear your pitch for the Vezina. I just wrote a piece on this, so it's
Hmm.
fresh in my mind. But why is Joel Hof? No. Why? How can Jordan? What is Jordan Binnington's path to winning the Vezina? And I want to hear your take before I give my spiel.
Joel Hofer plus 25,000 odds according to FanDuel. He has better odds of winning the Vesna than Cam Fowler does of winning the Norris. Jordan Bennington, on the other hand, plus 3,500. He is
That's not bad.
just guesstimating like probably the 14th goalie on this list. I think for him to win the award or to be a finalist or what,
However you want to take it.
I think I think it'll take a couple things. I think it'll take Connor Hellebuck having a down year. Um,
Which goalies?
which goalie's gonna goalie for sure. I think he'll need to. I mean, we saw him have a fantastic season in 2023-24, and that wasn't enough to even be a finalist, right? So that was, um, in my opinion, a little bit head scratching. I think if I really don't know, like I think he's just going to need to have a career year. I think it's just as simple as that. Like he just needs to get back to that wavelength that he was on in 2023, 24, and then some. I think he's going to need some help from the defense. I think that was one of the issues in 23, 24 was defense was not anywhere near as good as it was this past most recent season. I think if he was playing behind that defense in the year prior, it could have gone a little bit differently. Um, but honestly, like it's just it does seem like some of it is a little bit out of his hands with some of the talent in the league. I mean, you've got Shesterkin, Hellebuck, Ottinger, Vasilevsky all still doing their thing. Um, but the thing is like Binnington is perfectly capable of it. So maybe it's just as simple as, hey, like the Olympics are coming up, so like get in that mindset early. It does seem to be like a mindset thing with Binnington, where when the games are really high pressure, high profile games, he can lock in. It's just a matter of throughout the season, can he tap into that same mindset? So I think it's a bit of a mindset thing. I think the team around him needs to play well, um, and yeah, I think he just needs to get to return back to what he was the year prior, which is like really really great goalie.
So my pitch for Bennington to win the Vezina is predicated on a couple things of observations of his career arc and his career trajectory so far that I think there's a pattern perhaps of that maybe we're not appreciating that Jordan Binnington is not the goalie that he gets talked about to be as this like regular season choker or doesn't can't play unless it's a big game that I want to push back against. So Bennington in his career, his highest regular season save percentage came in his rookie season when he had a 927 save percentage en route to that magical legendary turnaround. Then since then it was 912, 910, 901, 894, 913, 900. One thing that sticks out to me immediately is all of those numbers, save one, which was again the worst season in recent Blues history, start with a 9. So for Binnington to be this like terrible regular season goalie and to have consistently a 900 save percentage, his career average is a 907, which is approaching what um what like we're in. Obviously I'm comparing single season versus career numbers, but is approaching closer to what Connor Hellebuck was setting. He had a 925 versus a 907. So only, let's see, 18 points off. It's a difference. I'm not saying they're the same at all, but I'm just saying it feels a little bit closer. But especially after that really bad Blues season, I think Binnington had some really huge bounce back performances in the past two seasons. Obviously, as you talked about that 2023-2024 season when he didn't get any Vesna consideration and definitely should have, if you ask us here at No News at least. He had a 913 save percentage, which was top 10 in the league, if memory serves correctly. I don't have that pulled up in front of me, but he won 28 games, went 28, 21, and 5 in 57 starts. This past season, went 28, 22, and 5, winning 28 games again, which was his second highest total in his career, again behind his legendary rookie season, where excuse me, he won 20 or his second season in 2020 when he won 30 games. So his career highs and wins are his second season with 30 and then 28 and 28 his past two seasons, which to me shows a little bit of that goalie aging curve. While there might be more blow up starts that drag his save percentage down, he still was able to get it above a 900 save percentage, only just. So I can't give him too much credit there, but still, getting it in the 900s is a big benchmark for me. And the other thing is, he set his second highest career win total in a single season, two seasons in a row, meaning he's still playing close to the top of his game and could be finding a level of consistency that we hadn't necessarily seen with Binnington up until this point. He'll be entering his age 32 season. The goalie aging curve comes a little bit later than the skater aging curve. So he's sort of entering that pretty good territory um, for goaltenders. And he also is equaled or tied again, to his career second highest career total in shutouts with 3. He has had 3 seasons of 3 shutout games. His rookie season, he had 5. His second season, 2024 and 2025, he had 3 shutouts, meaning there are signs pointing to Binnington sort of leveling out as a goalie and getting more consistency. It still maybe isn't exactly where you'd want it, but it isn't bad at all, and it's at least to a very above average serviceable level for Binnington. If he can take another step beyond that, winning, 30 plus games again, and then getting his save percentage back up above 910, now we're talking about one of the more dangerous goalies in the league. Those aren't Vezina caliber numbers. I'm not sure if it will be enough for him to win a Vezina next season, but in his career, could he win a Vezina? Absolutely yes. I think that the age range and progression is coming really well for Binnington, sort of behind the curtains, not really being talked about, but he's setting higher marks, or I should say lower marks, in goals against average in 2022, which was a pretty good season for Binnington. He had a 313 goals against average. In 2023, which was a bad season, he had a 331 goals against average. 2024, which was that very good season that John was talking about, 2.84 goals against average. And in 2025, he actually surpassed that number at a 2.6 goals against average. So there are signs pointing to Binnington is actually getting better. His wins are right in line with where they should be. His shutouts are right in line with where they should be. His goals against are right in line with where they should be. His save percentage was a little bit down last year, but still not atrocious. I think there's reason to believe that Binnington could get a little bit better before the regression comes the other way. And is it enough to get him to a Vesna? At this point, no. But could, with another year of development, could he still be learning with more experience as a goaltender, which is exactly what makes goaltenders dangerous, is experience? Yeah. So I think there's a path to Biddington becoming a Vesna finalist, maybe next season, but soon into the future, and maybe an outside shot of him winning a Vesna at some point in his career. I'm not saying it's likely at all, but I think there's a possibility.
Yeah, I like it. And just to add another point here, that 2023-24 season. I mean, we can agree that that's like. Would you say that's his best season ever? Would you say that's like where would you say that ranks in his
Probably
best
second. I
seasons?
think I think his
Second.
rookie season.
Sure, yeah. Um, so what? Anyway, one of his best seasons ever. Um, Finished. Let me find the number here. Fifth in goals saved above expected in the entire league. 16.5 behind Hellebuck, Thatcher Demko, Anthony Stolars, and Jeremy Swayman. And keep in mind, Anthony Stolars was the backup there in Florida that year. Now, you look at another stat, wins above replacement. He was fifth in that as well, 2.75, behind the same 4. So, like, in those stats that tend to measure, like, goalie performance alone, um, he was at the top of the league. But you look at other stats like goals allowed average or goals against total, like, he has the highest numbers in the top, like, 20 or so. Um, and I think that's, like, despite having a high goals allowed average, a lot of goals against, despite all that, he still had, like, a really solid goalie WAR, really solid goals saved above expected, and that to me just indicates he had a really solid year. The team around him did not, and so I think if he can have another season like that, and the team around him can play better defense, limit those goals against numbers, that would look a lot better on his resume. Get some of those wins up again. Then I think something like that. If that happens, and then maybe Hellebuck takes a step back or something, it could blow it open, and I could see it happening for Benner. And maybe that's this season, but like you said, maybe it's just a couple years from now or something like that. But that's how I see it happening.
All right.
Sweet. Benner was my bold prediction, Vezina. Well, bold prediction and my Vezina pick. this past season. Did not pan out, but it's not his fault. It's my
Maybe
fault.
you were just a year
Um,
early.
maybe so. Maybe so. Um, let's get a couple. Eh, I was looking at GM of the Year, Coach of the Year awards. Um, do you want to get to those now or later or not at all?
I kind of do want to get to them now, actually.
Let's do it
Um,
for
I think it's
sure.
a
So
pretty
I
quick
mean,
discussion.
yeah,
Um, I think it's just saying that Doug Armstrong is one of the best, if not the best, general manager in the league right now, and Jim Montgomery is one of the best, if not the best, head coach in the league right now. I think there's more of a case for Montgomery, but he is a former Jack Adams winner. He's won the award with I won't say more or less talented roster in Boston, but with a very different roster. Showed what he could do last season and had this team playing at like a 107, I think, point pace off the top of my head.
something like
Uh,
that. Yeah,
and for a team that was floundering under Drew Bannister, Jim Montgomery is one of the best head coaches in the league. Like very easily could win a Jack Adams again, whether it be this season, next season, and this season he has all the pieces he needs to do it. So I could absolutely see that happening.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could see him doing it as well. Like, if I think what it would take would be like expectations for the Blues this season. I think you look at people outside of the fan base or the organization, understandably, as is always the case, people are a little bit lower on the Blues, and um, I think what it would take would be the Blues having the type of season that no one really sees coming, other than like Blues fans who are really confident in the team right now.
Which
Um,
should probably be like top two divisional finish, you think?
Probably is what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't think it's enough to get that third spot. I think it has to be like win the division or yeah, like second place. Just like really outperforming a lot of people's uh, you know preconceptions of what this team is. And so I think it's possible. I think a lot would need to go right, but I think it's doable. I think it's possible for this team. Um, but I think to win the Jack Adams, that's the type of performance required to win it. A performance that people don't really see coming. Um, who won it this year? Was it
It was it Arniel?
it may have been, let's see,
I can't remember.
2025 Jack Adams. Oh, it was Carberry. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I mean the um, the Caps came out of nowhere. Finished eighth in the in the East the year before, and people were like, they're not gonna, you know, they're not gonna be back in the playoffs. They're gonna take a step back, and then boom, they were first in the East the very next year. So like, not saying that the Blues will need to be first in the East, but like that's the type of performance that I think is required for like a surprise performance all year long. That's required for a coach to win the Jack Adams. Um, when it
Yeah,
comes
winning the
to,
other conference would be a pretty impressive feat for Jim Montgomery.
did I say that?
You said the East, yeah.
Oh man. Um, hey, if they do that, I mean, hand them the Jack Adams, man.
They still
Um,
probably wouldn't. They'd find a way to give it to
they,
like Minnesota.
the GM of the Year award. This is the thing with the GM of the Year award is that more often than not, the three finalists are three of the four teams that make it to the conference finals because they vote on the award like really late, like compared with some of these other awards. So I think for Army to win GM of the Year, it like the Blues would need to go far. I don't know. Like I don't really know what else to say. That's just how it tends to play out for that award, uh, for better or for worse. I think Doug Armstrong is like deserving for sure. I just think the nature of how that award is decided, um, you know, like it or not, that's the way it usually goes.
Hmm.
So when the Blues make it to the conference finals, um,
Right.
I think Army could be a finalist for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he should and like should have won maybe several at this point in his career. Definitely, like there are some downsides you could point to with Army for sure. I don't want to just sound like a Doug Armstrong apologist, but for the majority of his career, Doug Armstrong has been a very, very good NHL GM. Um, and yeah, I agree with you. I think just the way that it's voted, calibrated is not the same as a true winner.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that was sort of my pick. Where do you want to go next, Hart or Selke Trophy?
I mean, are they kind of the same discussion?
I think
I
there's
don't know
there's
if you
more
have.
names we can throw into one than the other, but
Okay, then let's do that one first.
the
So,
Selke,
yeah,
cool. This is probably my favorite trophy, and the one I want a blue to win like more than any of them. You know, this will come as no surprise to you, Alec, or other or listeners of Note News, but I like defense. I like defense a lot, and so when there are like forwards out there that are really good on both sides of the puck, I'm really drawn to that. So Selke Trophy, I love it. And then I've heard, I think it was who was it? Was it Dreisaitl who was talking like this is the award I want to win more than I think it was.
I don't
Um,
remember that.
I think it was in an interview with Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet. He was talking
Gotcha.
about like of all the awards, Selke is the one he wants to win the most. I think that's so
Hmm.
cool. Um, so, anyways, the I don't have the voting in front of me. There were a few names that received some votes this year. I'm looking for the
It was
full
three.
ballot. Did I say three?
I said three. There were three blues.
Three blues. Okay, we've got it here. Running down the list. Robert Thomas finished 21st. He had 10 points that he got from a third place, a fourth place, and two fifth place votes. Moving down, down, down. Dylan Holloway tied for 26th.
Yep.
Um, he had 6 points from two fourth place votes. And then next was Jordan Kyrou, who received one fifth place vote, tied for 37th. So, I mean, that was so cool to see. So cool to see three, of, I mean, the three most important Blues forwards, I think. At least the three best Blues forwards. Um, all receiving consideration for that. I think that's such a like great indication of where this team is at and where they're headed. They've got solid forwards at the top of the lineup that can play on both sides of the puck. So loved to see that. I mean, is our conversation pretty much around those three? Because I mean, Pius Suter received a fifth place vote as well last year. Now he's a blue. Pavel Buchnevich has been known for being a solid defensive forward in the past. Um, which of these three do you like, or any other names to sort of be the best chance for the Blues to win it?
I really like Dylan Holloway as a dark horse, as a very dark horse, as
I
just
love
a,
it.
a guy with an outside chance. But man, he is really solid on defense, and Pia Suter as well. Although I see Pia Suter as more of a perennial vote getter than an actual like winner of any kind. But to me, it is Thomas. If you're gonna ever have a winner or a finalist, it's got to be Thomas. He is so active in the defensive zone and in the neutral zone on like keeping the puck out of the enemy's stick. I think that Thomas has to be the guy that I look at personally. I think all like Kyrou getting votes is just awesome. I love that so much. And I think I hope and I hope and I think that he'll continue to get votes, but I don't think he's ever going to finish higher than I don't know, say 15th in his career. And like same thing with Suter. Like I could see Suter getting into the top 10 because he is an excellent defender, but to win it, I really think it is Thomas. And Thomas kind of has to step his game up a little bit if he wants to win it. He is a very good defender, but he's not necessarily a great defender. I think there's another level to be unlocked with him that I'm definitely going to be watching for this season. I think a lot of people are expecting or calling for a big season from RT18, and there's a lot of reasons to think that it's coming. Um, but I think a big one thing that I would love to see Thomas step up in his game would be his defense. And so that's my pick, and that's who I'm watching to win this award, because I don't really see another way that it goes otherwise. You are muted.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Uh, yeah, just muted for the thunder that's going on around me. But appreciate it. I like that vote. I like that pick. I think that what happens a lot with some player awards is it's like a narrative thing, or it's like it's this guy's turn to win this award, like that kind of thing happens. I think a lot of the votes that Robert Thomas got this year were also a recognition of his solid defensive play from last season, where he did receive
Hmm.
some votes, but
I
not
like
as
that. Yeah.
as many as like he probably should have. And I think this was like a little bit making up for that because honestly, I think he had a worse defensive season this year than he did last year. Um, and that's sort of more like anecdotal, unless I don't have the
I
stats
think
to back that
that's
up right
yeah,
in
I
front of
I
me.
think you make a really good point though. I think that is accurate.
But yeah, like for that reason, I agree. I want him to step it up, and I think if he does, he is definitely a guy that can do it. He's got the offensive capability to catch some people's attention, and I think to win a big award like this, you got to be able to catch some people's attention. Like Alexander Barkov is sort of it's it's his award. It might as well be called or named after him. He's also a really
Which
solid
is
offensive player. Um,
unfair, I think.
you think so?
I think it was Reinhardt's this year, or Drysaddle,
That's
or
fair.
like I think Barkov getting it this year was just lazy voting.
That's fair. I mean, I think he is. We've had this discussion before. I don't know that we need to rehash it. But anyways, in terms of Robert Thomas, I think he's got the offensive capability to turn some heads, as I said. And yeah, if he steps it up defensively, I think he probably has the best the best chances to win it, at least you know anytime soon, just because he is like the consensus number one guy on the team. Um, and I think that can't help when it comes to building that narrative.
Hmm.
Now, I also want to make the case for another guy. This was my pick when we did our like team awards, like who on the team was the MVP or the Rookie of the Year or the best defensive forward. I made the case at that time for Dylan Holloway, um, and I'll just go back to him. I agree on your points about the other guys, but I see Dylan Holloway as having a legit shot to win it someday. Um, just because I think that he is starting to establish himself as like one of the best forwards in the game. I've seen a lot of rankings and lists come out from people on Twitter or some of the hockey journalists I read and things like that, and he is appearing on these lists, albeit towards the end. Like there's a lot of talent in the league right now, but for a guy his age, really had a career year, at least so far. Last season, he's what 23, 24 years old, uh,
Hmm.
just starting to enter his prime here. So I think he's starting to, like I said, turn some heads and catch some attention for that same reason. I think he will be considered strongly for Team Canada at the Olympics. I hope he can make it onto that team. Like it's an outside shot. He's another dark horse kind of guy, but I think he could be considered. He is just so good, and I think part of what makes him so good is his defense. I think he was far and away the best defensive forward on this team last year. Um, he can score as well, but we've talked about this so much. I love what he provides defensively, and so I see him as a guy who maybe in a couple years it could be his turn to win it. But I
Yeah.
think I think each year we'll see him climb climb these rankings and these voting boards.
Yeah, I love that like long-term picture on Holloway. As I said, like he could be a dark horse this year. He could be a dark horse for the next 10 years. And
Yeah,
as a winger to provide that kind of defensive impact is really rare air. So I love that shout. That's totally agree that Dylan Holloway is the guy to watch.
yeah. Um, Anyone else? Kairu, Suter, Buchnevich. Do we want to have that conversation at all?
I think I'm all right.
I think if Suter, which he should be on the first PK, if he's there and he's like amazing. Um, I just don't think I don't think that the narrative is on his side. But I like him a lot. And then, yeah, I mean, Kairu, Booch, we've talked about them. Okay, what about the Hart Trophy? Is this our last one?
It should be.
I think it is. I mean, Rocket Richard. Do you think anyone's gonna?
If it is, it's
um,
Kairu, but I don't know that Kairu is passing like pasta.
Let me see if he's on the odds for the Richard.
And I mean, if you want to go there,
He
like,
is plus 30,000.
okay. If you want to go
Yeah.
there, Thomas, technically, sorry, spoilers, everyone. The Hart discussion is going to involve Robert Thomas.
What?
Um, I think that's sort of tied with the Art Ross.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the Hart. Oh, I never gave Selke odds, did I? Robert Thomas plus 10,000, according to DraftKings. These were harder to
It's not
find. I
bad.
didn't get it as extensive a list um, as the other ones, but Robert Thomas, I believe, was the only blue on this list. Yeah, but um, Hart Trophy odds. Looking at the odds for that one, we've got Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou both at plus 50,000. Um, and yeah, those are the two blues on this list.
Makes
So
sense.
is there anyone other than Robert Thomas that could win it? Like, are we kidding ourselves if we say that anyone else can do it?
No, it's
I
Thomas.
think I think the
Kairu could
only
get votes.
way I think the only way is if it's Kyrou and he just has an insane year, like
Yeah, if he puts up like
doubles his
50.
goal total or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just needs
but
to go crazy. But I think Robert Thomas is probably um, the better bet here. So, and I think obviously a big part of it is just how well rounded his game is, the type of facilitating center that he is, the offense that he generates for his team, for his line, and not just as an individual. He reminds me of a guy like Jack Eichel, who received some love um, in Hart voting, and so I think your thoughts might be more developed here. So why don't you go ahead and take it and sort of make the case for Bobby T winning the Hart, or at least receiving some more significant consideration than he's expected to.
yeah. So Thomas still, while we all love Thomas, it's like he still would be a dark horse, I guess.
Yeah.
But finished what was it last season? Finished 21st or sorry 18th in the Hart voting, which was the first time appearing on the Hart leaderboard. So it'd be quite a jump to go from 18th to first. But could he
Yes.
finish as a finalist? I think absolutely. I think that's more the path I'm looking for with Bobby T, as we're saying. That I think climbing the rankings year by year, because I think there is a lot of in NHL voting like name value recognition. And unless the Blues go out and are like one of the top 5 teams in the league, which could happen, I don't know that he's going to be considered truly for Hart, right or wrong, which probably would be wrong. I think he's probably a little bit off there. But with Thomas, he's going to get the ice time to make an impact every night. And he has gotten better year after year after year. his point per game pace is at the highest now that it's been throughout his career, which is 81 points in 70 games, which puts him at 1.16 point per game pace. To score 100 points in a season, you need to be at about a 1.22 point per game pace. So he's very, very close, 1.16 versus 1.22. He could
Hmm.
very much approach the 90 or the century mark for point thresholds this season. But 100 points isn't enough to win the Hart unless you're Jamie Benn in 2014, I think.
Yeah, the
Um,
dead puck era.
yeah. And um, 100 points isn't enough to win the Hart on its own. With Thomas, it's also, like you said, going to have to be that defensive effort because I think he
Hmm.
could get to 100, maybe even in a best case 105. And given his point pacing, given the fact that he's gotten better year after year, like that's where I see this uptick in points coming from. But again, it's going to take a little bit more of that concerted effort from him defensively to become one of the best defensive forwards. And then the last thing you look for with a 100 point getter is Thomas just doesn't really score at the same level as um, some of the
Hmm.
league's best, like
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon. Um, that could
Yep.
vote against him in or could go against him in the voting. Again, right or wrong, it's wrong, but it's how they vote. So he's really going to have to provide extra on defense to sort of make up for that. Even though, again, it's a ridiculous claim, but really going to have to be just an incredible Selke level defender this year if he wants to be a Hart finalist and if he can break that 100 point mark. So a lot has to go right. That is not an easy recipe to winning this award or to becoming a finalist for the award. But hey, if anyone can do it, it's Robert Thomas because when Robert Thomas is doing Robert Thomas things, there isn't a lot more fun hockey to watch on the ice.
It's true. Yeah, and then a great point from Matt in the chat from Four Nations on. He had more points than any person in the NHL. Alec, I've mentioned this number to you on the podcast, and it blew your mind. I don't know if you remember it, but between the Four Nations break and the end of the NHL season in 2024-25, or I guess 25, um, do you have a guess for Thomas's per 82 game like point pace over that stretch of a couple months?
I don't remember what it
So
was.
they played 26 games between uh, February 22nd and April 15th. His per 82 game pace from that stretch. So in those 26 games, 8 goals, 32 assists, and 40 points. That's a per 82 pace of 25 goals, 100 assists, 126 points ish. Like there's decimal places, so it rounds up.
That's a
Um,
Nikita Kucherov stat line. That's insane.
yeah, ridiculous. And he did that for a sustained period of time. And so I think if he just, like the
That's
team,
insane.
if he can come out of the gate hot, like we've been talking about, if this team can come out of the gate on the right foot, come out of the gate hot, win some games early, like they could get a divisional spot. We've talked about that, right? If he can come out of the gate hot, and it could be like, can't really have one without the other type of situation. If he can come out of the gate hot, it doesn't have to be a 150 point pace, but if he can sort of pick up where he left off and just be like the engine to this offense,
Which he
I,
was under Jim Montgomery.
which he definitely was, and like he can do, and has, and if he can just keep that up for a full season, that's all it takes. You just have to be able to put it together for a full season. I say that's all it takes, like it's easy, but
Right. Yeah.
which it's not for sure. But um, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. Like we've talked about, you've sort of made the point. He could be like we could see him finishing at the top of the Blues points leaderboard by the time it's all said and done, provided he's a Blue for his whole career. Um, so I think he's got the best shot of anyone on this team. I think it'll just
I think
take
I
him.
think realistically he's got the only shot.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Um, gosh, This guy, unreal. Like I'm so like I've said it before. He's just a star, and I know he's got a lot of respect around the league. I still think he's underrated. I think he deserves so
He
much
is
more,
underrated.
accolades and attention than he gets. He is just, and I think it's one of those narratives where, it's most valuable player, but sometimes it's just the best player, right? Like there is that narrative, well, where, if Edmonton has both Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, are they more valuable? Like shouldn't we go to a player who's has more value to his team? Like that is an argument. I'm not saying I'm making that argument, but I think that's the type of narrative that it might take for Robert Thomas to win it. Like he is just so valuable and indispensable to the style of hockey that the Blues play, and such a central piece to their success that he gets some consideration or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's how I see a potential path. Again, a lot has to go right for that, to end the way we would want it to end. But boy, oh
It could
boy, is
happen.
Robert Thomas amazing. Mm,
It
love
could
that guy.
happen.
Well, what about anyone else? Jordan Binnington. We just saw a goalie win the Hart.
I would be impressed to say the least. I think realistically, it's Thomas and no one else. If you're being honest about point pacing and about the rest of the league, like to be better than McKinnon, Kucherov, Draisaitl, McDavid, I just don't see that with anyone else.
Yeah, no, I believe, or I agree. Um, I believe in Robert Thomas. That's what I'll say.
That's true.
Any other? I mean, do you wanna forecast who wins? Lady Bing, or I don't know, anything like that.
That's all right. I mean,
um,
Stanley Cup is right here in St. Louis.
it's true. It's true. Well, cool. I think that's the conversation then. I don't think we have any other major awards to talk about. Um, but thanks to everyone for tuning in. I think we're obviously all really excited for hockey again, and we got a bit of a ways to go before we'll get to see it. But we're gonna do our best to sort of help help our subscribers, help Blues Nation get across that finish line. So if you want some regular Blues content, then be sure to come back and join us for it. We love having as many people watching live in the chat as we can, engaging with us here live. It's always a lot of fun. We love to get questions and comments in the chat, and uh, talk with you all as we go. So we'd love to have everyone live. If you want to join us live or want to catch every episode, the best way to do that is to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow wherever you listen on Spotify and Apple, and then follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Note News Pod. And then I also just want to say, we're getting really close to 500 subs, as I said at the top. So help us. I think we're like 20 away, maybe even a little bit less. So we're so close. So if anyone can help us cross that threshold and get that first monetization threshold, we'd really appreciate it. Share the pod with a friend, with a friend that likes the Blues. That always goes a long way. But anyways,
Hmm.
thanks for tuning in to this episode of Note News. We will see you next time. And of course, as always, let's go
Let's
Blues.
go Blues.